Welcome back to Venus Improbable Dream. We've just completed chapter 1, and if that is the demo, then that certainly is not 3 to 4 hours. No, that's way more than just 3 to 4 hours to read through. I've been trying to get on with my homework and relax with some gaming, but I have way too much on my mind. The prospect of having to give Kudo-sensei an answer about the performance tomorrow is consuming me. When I got home, I hadn't told my parents about the festival. I figured it'd be too troublesome. If they got the idea in their heads that I might perform, they'd probably go crazy, pinning all their hopes on it, and then be crushed with disappointment if I don't go through with it. I don't need that kind of pressure and guilt. Realise that I can't focus on my game right now, I relent and contemplate the festival again. What would it really be like if I performed with the group? I guess that since Air on the G-string is one of my favourites, that gives me some optimism. My goodness sakes, keep saying the words G-string for all the times. But in a musical sense, it has a completely different terminology to it. However, though it pains me to acknowledge it, it's not really the difficulty of the piece that's my main concern. The thing I'm scared about, more than anything else, is your condition. Yep. Thought so. I'm just terrified to put myself on display like that, and be noticed by hundreds of people, or however many the school's auditorium can fit. The idea is about as far out of my comfort zone as you can get. Is it really as uncomfortable as going to another person's classroom to see them though? Like, that is a bunch of strangers staring at you for inquisitive reasons at the very least. Despite this, my feeling isn't just a clear-cut, absolute refusal. It might be my sense of obligation to the club, and the fact that I don't want to be a disappointment to Kudo-sensei, but for some reason, I can't just write it off like that. Perhaps there's also a little speck of hope for myself hiding amongst everything too. There could be a part of me, however small, that wants to see if I could actually pull off something like this. I guess it's the same part of me that gets jealous when I see friends having fun together, and talking with each other easily without a care in the world. I don't think that last part of the sentence there is exactly true, sorry. I imagine some of them are, but not all of them. The side that wants to stop being so stubborn and fearful, and be more like them. You can still be stubborn while having fun. In a way, it's nice if that part of me does exist, because it means that I'm not as hopeless as I always chalk myself up to be. But whether I could follow its enthusiasm and do something I've never done before on such a big scale, yeah, S&T are not close to each other on the keyboard. I just can't say. Multiple choice it would seem like it would be. Farming up my phone, I put it on silent, making sure my alarm is set. I go to bed slightly earlier than I usually would, but a flurry of concerns in my head preventing me from getting much done anyway, so I figured I might as well attempt to get more rest. My bad. Lying down and flickering the light out, I sigh heavily and tried to empty my mind. I'm jotting at the fact that a point at which I'll have to give Kudo-sensei my answer is getting even closer, ever closer, but I do my best to ignore it. For now, I'd better just sleep. You know, you could discuss with Matsumo-sensei about this, so that he can possibly explain to Kudo-sensei about the situation that you've put Kakeru in, because this isn't exactly something in which somebody who has been living in a shell could possibly do within such a short span of time. Like, you might think that a few months is a long period of time. It's not. Not compared to the age of the universe, anyways, but I still think that there should be something in which Kudo-sensei should have said to Matsumo-sensei beforehand. But then again, he probably thinks that he shouldn't be in any of this. I think I finally know what I have to tell Kudo-sensei. This is going to be hard, but it has to be done. Weighing up all different options throughout this path, what is our protagonist going to say to Kudo-sensei? Not eager, but just to get it out of the way, I imagine. He doesn't spell it out, but I can tell that he's anticipating my answer. I go over to him sheepishly, and though his demeanour is friendly as always, I can tell that he's expecting to be disappointed. About the festival? He faces me squarely, looking the most serious I've ever seen him. Yes? Oh dear. So, the protagonist has gone through 3 different scenarios. Number 1, which is the easiest one, which is just not perform at all. And that would lead to disappointment for both the music club and for himself, along with the people close to him. Number 2, follow along the path of the group performance, which I would believe that would divide the attention of the entire choir by however many students there are. So therefore, if one of them is out of sync, then it's barely noticeable because everybody else is still picking up what they're doing. Number 3, which is the route which Haruka would rather go down, which would be the solo performance, which would be that, yes, I want to perform, but I'd rather have my own performance, which I would think is the least ideal scenario for our character, because he is then taking all of the spotlight. 100% of the focus is on him. Ooh, okay. This is rattling to say the least, because while I would personally go with the performance with the group, I know that Haruka would rather us go with the solo performance in a way. Or it could even just be a duo between the two. But no, I'm going with what I would personally select, which is going to be the performance with the group. I don't want to stay the hopeless case that I convince myself that I am every day. I want to try to actually do something for once, even if it horrifies me. Something I'm aware of, there's 4 different endings to this game, according to the Itch.io page. And I believe that one of the conditions is what you selected in the previous 4 times. The second condition is what you select here. Now, the order in which the past choices affect the endings that they get here, I don't know. This is my first time playing through the game. But I definitely believe that one or the other, which we selected just now, is definitely the catalyst towards one or another ending of the possible 2 endings that could be done here. I don't want to stay the hopeless case I convince myself that I am every day. I'll just try to actually do something for once, even if it horrifies me. I'm going to do my best with the group. I'm not sure how well I'll do, even if I'll manage it at all, but I'm going to give it everything I've got in the hope that I get something out of it in the end. Kuro-sensei stares at me in an almost aghast manner for a moment before what I actually said actually clicks, and then he bursts into a grin. Wow, in his grin. Wow, that's wonderful news. You had me worried for a second there. He emits a bubbly chuckle, and I feel myself almost wincing at how jovial he becomes. I'm very pleased, Akane. You have all the support that you need here, and we can iron out any problems together. I have faith in your abilities though, so you'll be absolutely fine. I feel like the friendship between our 2 characters though isn't going to be going down as well as if we would have selected the other option. But I am sticking with what I believe is canon. I nodded at his words, feeling a little out of sorts, and my ears pick up on the sound of other club members entering the room. Kuro-sensei noticed it too, shooting me another smile. Let's get ready, shall we? Absolutely, I'll follow his suggestion, nod again, turning away and heading towards the piano. I guess that if we're locked into just staying here rather than always going towards the corridor and seeing Haruka, then we could just always meet outside of the practice room. In the CD room, for example. I plonk myself down on its stool ungracefully, holding my bag in my hands in a somewhat catatonic state until I can cool off enough to continue the daily routine of putting my sheet music on the stand. I can't believe what I've just agreed to, but for some reason I just felt like I had to try. You do, or you do not. There is no try. If I never put forward any more effort than I've been doing, then my life would never get better. I've done some decent things recently, but something tells me I shouldn't let it end there. I agree with that. Joining a club, gaining a friend, meeting new people, achieving something great is a positive next step. I'd also realised an extra upside to this scenario that Kuro-sensei just mentioned. I'll have the support and guidance of the whole group, including him, during this time of preparation. So it's not as though I'll be bumbling it through it alone. I've got people to work alongside. I guess this means I'm doing this, or at least aiming to. For the first real time in my life, I have a goal of my own. But if I can ponder it all further, I'm startled by Kudo-sensei clapping his hands together to get everyone's attention. I realise I've been zoned out for quite some time. All of the club members are here now, and it's time to get things underway. Alright everyone, let's get to work on this piece. Oh yeah, that's right. We'll only be playing on the G-string from now on. No need to get my other books out. Yeah, see, it's like a exam, for example. I need one entire book of 500 pages covering a lot of things, but yet we just want this one page for this one question. Like, why do we read up so many things? It's because it could be in the exam. Remember to consider your clubmates. Some are less experienced than others, and some have never given a public performance before. Each want to aim both of those at us. You're going to need to support each other as we go along, and help bring out the best in each other. Understood? Yes? There's a collective hum of agreement. I'm glad he hasn't singled me out, considering what most of what he just said was probably in reference to me. I am aware of at least one other member who only joined this year, but at the start, rather than near the end, like I had. Kudo-sensei then eyes everyone with relish, as though he's looking at a rather tantalizing box of chocolates. Alright, let's get things underway, shall we? Yes, everyone else is like milk chocolate, and we're plain chocolate, but that doesn't matter because I like both. Everyone humours him with a whoop of enthusiasm, and accepting his passion hunger for success, with a hint of awkwardness as always. I place my hands onto the keys, ready to play. Oh, we can go through this then, okay. How is this going to turn out? I have indeed. She must have been wondering what I've been thinking all this time. You still practice with the group? Yep, I did, and it means exactly what she's probably thinking it means. Yeah, I'm gonna try do the performance with them. As soon as she hears my confirmation, she begins to beam at me enthusiastically. Wow, that's really great! Great, sorry, I'm glad for you, Kakeru. I feel a slight air of comfort with the knowledge that Haruka thinks that I've made a good decision. We can help each other with our performance pieces now. It'll be easier to only have to focus on one each. Yes, she seems pretty pumped about this, and I realise that it might be because she's always done this completely alone. The concept of the two of us supporting each other as we work towards perfecting our pieces is probably something of a novelty for her. Speaking of which, have you decided what you're playing yet? If there's anything other than Air on the G-string, then it's going to be a solo for her, in her mind. I recall that she'd still been unsure about it yesterday and will have had more time to think about it by now. She grows quiet as she contemplates my question, and then nods to herself as she responds. I was going to do this originally, but I just feel as though I can't play anything other than Venus, okie dokie. Ah, her beloved piece is obviously proving too tempting to ignore. I know I haven't learnt it fully yet, so there's a lot of work to do, but if there's any piece that's going to make me feel good while performing, that's it. Makes sense. You'll probably catch up with it soon, since you love it so much. Indeed, she nods in agreement. Definitely. I'll work on it all day and night. Remember, there's your academics as well. Don't neglect your academics for entirely music-based stuff, you know. We both chuckle slightly and I begin to unwind a little, though there is something else that just occurred to me. I might have to spend more time with practicing with the group. Are you alright on your own in here? I know that she doesn't exactly need my help, but we've been practicing with each other for a month now. I wouldn't want her to feel left behind if I have to start spending free practice time in the main room, if Kudo-sensei asks me to get more involved. Haruka nods her head, seeming sure of herself. Let's see. Yeah, I'll be fine. I do this by myself every year anyway, so the fact that you're around at all this time makes things different. Oh dear, she curls her hands into loose fists looking determined. But are they shaking though? I know I haven't performed yet, but I'm still going to do my best. That's good. I'll be cheering on you on you then. Why do I keep trying to say that? I'm glad she won't feel like she's been abandoned. And me with you. We're both smile and I feel very strange that we're even having this conversation, but I guess this is what's going to happen now. Festival preparations are becoming the new normal around these parts of the world. Shall we start then? Do you want to show me how far you've got with Air on the G-string and we can work on it? People are going to think around me if they hear me say in this conversation that I'm talking about something else other than music. I head towards the piano, spurred into action by her words, though I automatically feel a little bad as she's immediately begun to focus on me. Yes, I do know what you mean. Do you want to go first for a change? I don't want to make it all about me. You can show me how much of Venus you've learned if you want. She thinks about it for a moment, then shakes her head. God damn it, I haven't made much progress yet. I'll play it to you after I've learned some more. I see what you mean. Now that she says it, I start to feel even more guilty. If I keep coming in here and having her help me with my piece, she'll have less time to work on hers. And that's not fair. Do you want me to come here less often then? I don't want to get in the way of you learning it. That's not the point at all. We help friends out because we're friends with friendly people. I don't like the idea of forcing myself to stay with the other club members, but I don't want to hinder her progress, and as I mentioned before, Kuna-sensei might want me to spend less time in here anyway. I suppose I won't mind if it's for her benefit, but... She wilts a little at my suggestion, seeming outwardly disappointed, but she seems to realise I have a point. Well... I guess it would help. How about we still play together, but just for the last part of free practice so that we have most of it to work on things separately. I really don't mind helping you, but she grudgingly accepts the reality of what I've said. I do need as much time as I can get. So you're starting to see the performance benefit of this separation, but as friends go, this does seem like a little bit of a setback. It's probably for the best. I feel like things are going to drift apart somehow. Okay, sounds like a plan. She nods and then brightens slightly, looking hopeful. You're already here now, though, so shall we carry on like normal for today? I almost laughed. She sounds like a child trying to whittle me into giving her some candy or something. Alright, this is just Haruka. She smiles at my agreement and we take up our positions, enjoying the last regular practice we'll probably have for quite a while. Damn, we better make this count. I do really hope this works out for both of them. Hey, you've had a good point when you said about giving me more time to learn Venus before. Would you mind not coming to see me for the next couple of days? I want to make as much progress as I can, and then on Friday I'll be able to show it to you. We could just hang out after school and you can show me the progression then, rather than during the practice time. But of course, that means I won't have access to a piano. The one main advantage of a flute over a piano, you can carry your flute anywhere. You can't exactly carry your piano on your back wherever you go. Why is a piano so difficult? Oh, that's unexpected. She'd be the one who looked disappointed when I brought it up. I guess now that she's thought about it, she's realised that she should get more serious if she's going to learn the piece to a good standard in time for the festival. Not going to see her in a separate room is going to be very unusual. I can't get in her way though, if this is what she thinks she needs. If you're sure... I send the reply and admit selfishly to myself that I wouldn't complain if she changed her mind. The solace of a private room is pretty important to me, and I'm going to lose it for a few days thanks to this. She answers me relatively quickly. Yeah, I think it's for the best. You can work hard on your piece too, and then we can show it off to each other on Friday, right? Okay, see you on Friday then. What about after school and before school? A dreaded sensation of eyes on me, and take a glance in this direction. The other members of the club? or Kudo, but again, his eyes. Before boys had invited me to hang out for that time nearby, and a couple are looking my way. Feeling comfortable trying to forge ahead with my practice, but seems like the more I play, the more they look inquisitive about your progression with this piece. As I paused and steal another sneaky glimpse of them, I noticed that they're beginning to talk amongst themselves, potentially in reference to me. Maybe I'm too loud? You can only soften the sound of a piano so much, and it's probably distracted them from their own practice. I don't think that is the case. This is the music room after all. This is where we make music. Wanting to resolve the situation, I cast around the room until I spy a spare, unused acoustic panel, and head over to it sheepishly. As I begin to drag it across to a piano, I realise I'll be able to get a bit of cover from it, as well as dampening the sound I make. Double whammy! However, before I can bring it all the way back, I spot a second pair of hands on the opposite side of the panel and jump slightly. One of the group has come over to help me, regarding me casually, and for a second his appearance freaks me out. You're not that loud, you know. Are you trying to read our mind? Because that certainly will not be working due to a sudden conversation and my rapid change of demeanour. We stop moving the panel. I can't help but turn my head away slightly, shrinking back before the panel in fear, but do my best to stand my ground. Oh, I thought I was distracting you. The guy shakes his head with a slight grin. Nah, you're good. We were just surprised to see you in here. You usually rush off as soon as free practice starts. That is true, my presence must be unusually obvious for once. Still a little rattled, I nod in response. We were actually talking about asking you to practice with us if you want. Oh, I hadn't expected that. I glanced at the other three boys discreetly, but they noticed anyway, greeting me distantly with nods and waves. I avert my eyes, feeling nervous, but once I think it over for a moment, I realise a couple of things. Firstly, I've lost Haruka's tutelage for now, so replacing it with theirs for a few days might actually prove useful for me. You gotta diverse your friendship towards other people as well. Focusing on that one person in particular is not grand. Unless, of course, it's your other half. But that's still unhealthy in a way. They're among the people I'll be performing with after all. It can only help for us to learn to gel our paths more closely together. Secondly, agreeing to practice with them a few times might help towards making up for bailing on them the time they'd invited me to the city. I guess despite the fact that it feels really awkward, that I should probably just give it a go. Feeling bad having left the guy hanging, I nod. Yeah, alright. His expression brightens in surprise, evidently having begun to suspect I'd refuse. Oh cool, let's leave this then. We'll come over to you. He abandons the panel in the middle of the room, heading back over to his friends in Bashby. I do the same, sitting back at the piano. After a moment, the boys all drag their things over to set themselves up around me. It's very intimidating to begin with, all of them lined up in a semicircle facing me, and I get a strong feeling of wanting to run like a cornered rat, for goodness sakes, but nowhere to go. However, as they ready themselves and simply ask for a run-through of the piece, I find myself going along with it. Glad that they aren't expecting a bunch of conversation, at least not yet already. Anyway, we start to play the piece together, and it sounds rather off balance with over half of the ensemble missing, but still enough to be able to discern where we are at and what to do. I feel myself continuing to jitter as we work, but the longer it goes on for, the more I feel as though I'll be able to get through it. Just about. When we get to the middle of our current run-through, the trombone player drops out, looking slightly concerned and causing the rest of us to halt in our tracks. Aren't we going a bit fast? I swear it's meant to be slower than this. No, it is meant to be Sankey fast, or Sanic fast, or Sonic fast. Sounds right to me. What do you think? They bat the question around the group, getting all confused due to everyone's differing opinions. And as I sit there silently, I nod to myself that I know the answer. We have been playing it too fast. Heavy now. Yeah, because if you play it too fast, when it's off sync. If you play it too slow, it's off sync. Everyone's got to be at the right tempo. I know this from the extensive listening that I've done with this piece at home. I'm well versed enough in it by now to know that the piece is a little slower than what we've been doing. Feeling very self-conscious, I dare myself to join in with the debate. Putting your opinion in is going to be very important. it's actually slower. All four boys turned to look at me, probably shocked that I chipped into the conversation, wanting to prove my point and not look like an idiot. I slipped my phone out of my pocket, located the track in my music folder. Without explaining myself, I just let it play, though it doesn't sound particularly grand through the tiny phone speakers. It serves the purpose I'd want it to. Everyone listens with interest, nodding and visibly realizing their mistake. It is slower. Look at Akane, doing his homework better than the rest of us. Well, that's what happens when you're solo-less per se. You can focus on what is directly in front of you rather than just... what do I mean by just? Looking at others as well and hoping to concentrate on their performances as well as yours. It's almost like the entire sum is dispersed and divided up by how many members there are. So in this case 5, but... well, 4 in their case, before this. They all talk to easily, and I switched the music off awkwardly, glad that they don't seem offended that I essentially proved them wrong. It's not about proving them wrong, it's about putting out a point there. I don't want to come off as a know-it-all. No, it's not about a know-it-all. It's just showing it off, and you have evidence to show that it was a bit fast in the way in which the rest of the group were performing it. So, it's not showing off, it's helping all of us. Nice job, you kick our butts again if we start speeding up. We're gonna speed it up. They all giggle again, and this time I manage a small smile. They're pretty relaxed people after all. I guess I can deal with this for the next few days. After collecting ourselves and before them laughingly promising to follow my lead regarding the tempo, we resume practice. And the hour passes oddly fast. Once we probably get into our work, not being bored, being engaged, meaning that you're enjoying yourselves. Time does fly by. Before I know it, the bell rings announcing our freedom from club activities. The 5 of us pack our things away and things somewhat lost again without Haruka by my side. I find myself gazing toward the corridor that leads to the room that we practiced in. Knowing that she tends to take her time in getting ready to leave, I'm tempted to wait for her. However, I'm jolted out of my reverie by the boys around me. So, how many notes are there in the trio? I feel like I do it differently every time. Do you know Akane? A little unprepared but not wanting to be rude, I reply as best as I can. As we talk amongst ourselves, the guys begin to walk away, heading out of the door and into the corridor. I pause momentarily, looking back towards Haruka's room once more, but realise I should probably just leave her to it. Feeling more strange than ever, I reluctantly join them at the door. I'm kinda glad that I was able to practice with them like I had, but this whole thing still feels very unsettling. However, for both Haruka's benefit and mine, I'll put up with it. Okay, let us see how things progress from here on out. This is going to be a bit difficult to explain. Where are you heading off to? I feel guilty that I'm essentially abandoning them today, and possibly for good, so my voice wavers a little extra as I approach them. I'm meeting Fujiwara today. Sorry. I probably should have embellished somewhat, but though they look slightly taken aback, the boys don't seem too offended. Oh, okay. Maybe see you around then? Shall do. I nod and they smile briefly before turning back to their usual circular setup as I walk away. Hopefully they don't mind too much, but without their piano man there, how are they going to perform? Hi Kakeru, finally! Yeah, how's it been going? She tilts her head as she thinks, contemplating whatever progress she's made since I last saw her. Not bad, I think. You sound like you were getting better with the group. Having missed our conversations, I decided to tease her a little. Hey, that's not fair. I'm supposed to be showing you now. No cheating. As I predict, she blushes a little in embarrassment, but smiles to show that she knows I'm only messing around. Well, I didn't mean to. We laugh for a moment, then she draws our focus to the task at hand. Go on then, show me properly. Okay, I'll cross the room and set up my music sheet on the piano and give her the best rendition on the... rendition of Energy Stream that I can muster. It's still not perfect, but it's not so bad either, I guess. When I'm finished, Haruka gives me a mini round of applause. There's room for improvement, but I think I know what I'm doing a bit better by now. I'd say so. It was good. Remember not to go too heavy in the left hand though. The lower notes were a little overpowering. Ah. Do they say that if you lose one of your senses, then your other senses are greater in terms of being able to focus on those senses in some way? Oh right, sorry, the high melody is the most important part, isn't it? There are other instruments playing the same bass notes as me, so I guess I don't need to emphasize that as much, right? Exactly. I nod to myself, making a mental note to put the guidance into effect in the next group session. Are you going to play Venus, then? She seems to grow a little bashful when I say this, obviously shy about revealing her progress so far, but nods. I haven't learned the whole thing, only some of it. I'll probably need a few more days to learn the rest. That's okay, just show me what you've got. Beaming, she picks up her flute, which she temporarily put back in its open case as she readies herself, and since the occasion seems to wash over us both. I'm sure that she's been so excited to learn this piece, and it's visible in her every move. Hopefully it'll make sense, since I'm only one instrument. True, the original piece arranged for a whole orchestra with Baruka's enthusiasm and care. I'm sure that she's managed to pick out a melody for herself to play that will convey the main structure and feel of it adequately. She takes a few moments to read over the braille with her hands, reminding herself of something, and then begins to play. It's not the whole piece she told me, but what I hear is still interesting and recognizable. What's more apparent is her love for the piece, evident in the way she tries to inject emotion into her playing through the dynamics. She'd gotten hold of a copy of Hoist's entire Planet suite on CD not long after I brought her the sheet music, and judging by how nice this early attempt is sounding, I'd bet she's already listened to it 100 times. As she continues, a thought crosses my mind, and I'm stuck with a bittersweet feeling of wondering if it will come true or not. If Haruka played this in front of an audience, it would surely be a success. I guess only time will tell. When she comes to a halt, I reciprocate and return the solo round of applause, to which she blushed again and waves her hand, as if to bat my praise away. It's not really anything yet. I need to get way more familiar with it before it'll start sounding good. Praise yourself where praise is. Humble as ever. No, it's good already. You'll do a great job. I know it. Her cheeks redden a little further, and she looks at the ground before composing herself. Thanks, Kakeru. I'm glad we could do this again. Has it been weird not seeing each other? It sure has. Against all odds, I have to admit that it's true. Yeah, it has. I think we... What? Oh, okay. What is happening now? Not that you need to come here all the time. We don't have to see each other every day, you know, just whenever you... What do you mean, just whenever I want? This friendship is between two people, you know. We have to consider the feelings of one another. I guess she's worried that she'd come across too needy. No, I know. I like practicing with you. Thankfully, she starts to calm down, and I'm relieved that the awkward moment is passing. By the way, what do you think we should do about that now? I ask partially to change the subject somewhat, but also because it is something of an issue. I'm not sure what the best approach is. We consider the subject together, both realising it is probably important for me to spend more time in the main room than I have been doing. Okay then. Then why don't you spend most of the free practice with the guys, say 45 minutes, and then do the last bit in here? That's the best for both worlds, without compromising your group work too much. I realise that it's probably the best middle ground that we could come up with, and it weighs good for the both of us to have that kind of 75% to 25% ratio. Yeah, okay, seems fair. She smiles with a nod, and I'm glad I'll be able to still enjoy this tranquility on the side of keeping up my attentive yet helpful work with the other club members. With that decided, nothing else to do, we could do to practice together until the bell rings. Cool. Having got as much out of the session as we could, we gathered our things together and headed out. Another wave of familiarity comes over me as we turn to face each other outside of the main school building, bringing back another old habit of saying goodbye to one another at the end of the day. Well, I'll work super hard over the weekend, and then I'll have more of Venus to show you. Oh, that's right, I almost forgot about it's Friday. Okay, I'll look forward to it. See you then. With a smile she turns and leaves me behind, and I do the same. Now that the festival is looming ominously in the near future, I feel as though I'm constantly a little more nervous than usual, but at least my routine with Haruka has gone somewhat back to normal. I hold on to that scrap of comfort as I head home. More surprises come in wake. Hey, I know we both need to take practicing seriously, but I was wondering if you wanted to do something one evening. I think you'll like it. I'm taken aback at the southern invitation. Southern, especially considering that Haruka has a lot of her piece to learn, but it seems as though she's got something specific in mind, judging by her words. My curiosity piqued. I reply, what were you thinking of doing? Is this going to be a surprise? My parents want to see a show in the city. It's an orchestra playing classical music through the ages. I really want to go too, and they said I could invite you. So, 4 tickets to the orchestra. That's thoughtful of them all, and to be honest, I'm not sure I'm worthy of the invite. I've only met her parents once, so I'm surprised if they're willing to let me tag along on a family outing. But before I can think of it further, I'll start typing. Are you sure? Don't you need to work on Venus? I don't want to distract you, but we need a few hours out of the day away from practicing, do not we now? Do we not now? I'll wait a minute or so before her response comes in. I'll be okay, the performance is still weeks away, so missing one night isn't so bad. Oh no, that's the night on which the most exciting bit of music and leaps forward ahead will come into play. And the show's on Tuesday evening, so we'll have practiced in music club anyway. I suppose that's a fair point, as I'm contemplating the idea another text message comes in. If you wanted to come, we could go back to mine after school and have something to eat. My parents would take us to the show, and they said that they don't mind dropping you off at home after, since you don't live too far away. God, they're even more gracious than I'd realised. This is really nice of them to offer. They're really okay with me coming on? Would you prefer just to go with your parents? I sent it before I realised how dreadfully insecure it sounds. I know that Haruka is aware of my level of confidence, which is basically the square root of nothing, which is basically 0, but I still feel a little bit lame having said that. She's quick to refute my questions. Of course we want you to come, it'd be fun. Also, you said you felt like you didn't know much about classical music, so I thought you might like to hear some played by a live orchestra. I always enjoy shows like these. Have you ever been to one before? No. I can only reply with the truth. No, never been. Do you go often? I've gone to around 7, I think. They're really great. I'm pondering what to reply with when another message shoots in. Hot off the heels of the last one, I swear that using voice-to-text technology actually makes Haruka a faster text than I am. If you don't like the idea, don't worry, I'll go with my parents anyway. We just want to ask if you'd like to join us. I don't think anyone really pays attention to you at the theatre. They're all too busy watching the performance. That I agree with, but I feel a pain of self-loathing at the fact that she's taken my anxiety into such consideration. I try to weigh up with what she's said seriously. I do feel very nervous about going to a theatre, having never been to one. However, she raised a good point that everyone will be sitting in rows, all facing the stage, and putting their focus on what's happening in front of them, not to the side, potentially. And it's only one side. I guess it's a bit like going to the movies, which I have actually done a few times. The darkness and giant screen that everyone stares at makes it difficult for anyone to notice me. My stomach's still flipping at the idea, but I try to be reasonable and considerate with a balanced outlook. A show about classical music through the ages might actually give me a better idea of the genre in general, given that I still don't really know that much. I know I'm not a serious enthusiast like Haruka is, but I think it'd still be interesting. So, given everything I've considered, should I accept? Aware that I've already kept Haruka waiting for a reply, I let my mind run the scenario a couple more times, trying to stay as optimistic about it as possible. I'm not sure if I reached a decision or not, but for whatever reason I abandoned my phone and head... Why? Both of my parents are sitting on the couch together as I enter the lounge, and when they see me approaching timidly, we both adopt surprised expressions in unison. Hello? Hi Kakeru, is everything okay? I nod, working myself up to tell them what's on my mind. Haruka invited me to the theatre on Tuesday after school, with her parents. Both of them seemed almost as taken aback as I'd been, though I can already sense a hopeful vibe coming from them. I haltingly tell them the details, and the three of us have an awkward conversation about whether I should go or not. Naturally, they egg me on, but also let me know that it's okay to say no. I acknowledge it with a nod, though I'd feel pretty bad about turning down an invitation from Haruka above anyone else. I agonize for a minute, but then a sort of acceptance comes over me, and I realise that I found my answer. I think I'll go, if that's okay. And they both smile. But what about these two then? How about if they can come as well? The smiles on my parents' faces makes me feel as though I've made the right decision even just for their benefit, never mind me. Sure thing, son. You'll have a great time. Yes, you could go and tell Haruka that it's all fine with us. Feeling both trepidation at the idea that it's now happening, and relief that I'm not stressing over my choices anymore, I nod and thank them quietly before heading back upstairs. Yes, I believe so. As I close the door to my room, a familiar sensation washes over me. I guess it's the unsettling mixture of excitement and terror all mashed together into one uncomfortable thing that doesn't really make a lot of sense. In the end, I think I keep saying yes to Haruka's invites because being around her seems to take the edge off the horror. I feel somewhat. Putting myself together, I cross the room and pick up the phone to tell Haruka the news. Fantastic! I promise we'll have fun. Maybe it'll inspire us for our performances too? Trying to ignore my fluttering chest, I realise that she might be right. Perhaps watching professional musicians show off how it's really done will boost my motivation. I'm not sure, but I guess in 3 days I'll find out. In 3 days. Okay folks, we're going to come back to the music room in the next time around. Things aren't as south with Haruka as I thought they were going to be. We've created a happy medium ground in which both characters can be happy, but at the same time you still feel that pain of guilt for not being with the friend that we've come to know for the past month more often than we used to. So thank you all so much for watching guys, and see you all on the next time of Venus Improbable Dream. Have a great day and take care of yourselves.